and welcome to MetroArts. I'm your host, Sharon Clark, and here on MetroArts, we highlight some of the best in the business. From fine artists, photographers, performing artists, cinematographers, as well as musical artists, all from the Metro Detroit area. On today's show, we have producer actor Sharon H. Robertson, sculptor Sharon Q, and singer-actress Rio Scafone, and the Rockabilly Revival Band. We'd like to welcome producer, actor Sharon H. Robertson to MetroArts. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am great. It's a pleasure for you to join us today.
Good. Pleasure for the invite. Thank you very much.
So, Sharon, tell us a little bit about how you got started into acting.
Well, about 3 years ago, one of my best friends, Damon Merchant of Corpus Films, created his own independent film called Merchant Street, and he cast me in it. I fell in love with acting, and from that point on, I basically was cast in about 20 films here that were shot locally as an extra. And through a lot of diligence and hard work, I was able to procure an agent in Kurt Hall of Charlie's Talent. And he got me an audition to be on Detroit 187 as a co-star in episode 6 as a cop. And I won the role, and basically got about 2 minutes of speaking role footage with Mike Imperioli, and the rest is history.
Oh, well, we love speaking roles.
Yes, speaking roles, they rock. They rock.
Absolutely. Okay, so you were inspired to create your own Screen Actors Guild. Can you tell us a little bit about that? It's actually called Great Lake State.
Yeah, Great Lake State was basically my idea after Detroit 187 was canceled, regrettably. I decided to create our own TV series here based on Michigan stories, Michigan actors and crew, and develop something to where I could not only employ people and pay people for the work that they deserve to be paid for, but also to give them SAG credits. And through a friend of mine, his name is Mike Kelly, he's a Screen Actors Guild producer locally. He basically showed me the ropes on how to get my Screen Actors Guild accreditation for Great Lake State. We got that, and we started shooting episodes last year. And we've gotten over 500,000 views on YouTube, and we're actually going to be launching on local TV this spring.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, which brings me to the clip we're about to watch. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, this is Great Lake State. This is the pilot episode. Basically, the story is a drama. It's a character-driven drama about, about Michigan people who are basically ordinary people doing extraordinary things. This is the new governor. Her name is Ashley Farrell, and it's played by Rio Scafone. And myself, I'm a co-star in it as well, and this is Drake Den, and basically they're good friends, and you have to kind of see the clip to kind of see how things materialize between them.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Drake, good morning.
Good morning, Governor Farrell. Marcia Daniels will escort you to the state capitol. She changed her phone number yesterday, so I'll need to update your BlackBerry.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Hey, now that you're off duty, can I talk to you?
Of course we can. American Coney for breakfast?
I hope I'm not in over my head.
What? Hey, since we were kids, you've always been more worried about things than you needed to be.
I know, but this isn't the west side of Detroit anymore. This is my first day as the new governor of Michigan. The people may have voted me in. Doesn't mean the boys in Lansing are going to play nice.
Well, you're damn right they're not. You've made enemies already.
Well, I'm about to make a few more. I've decided that I'm going to take a voluntary 50% pay cut. And I'm going to ask that every member of the state legislature do the same. Shared sacrifice.
I've never been more proud of you in my life.
Thank you, Trooper.
Girl.
My husband didn't come home last night, did he?
No, he didn't.
Wonder who he was with this time.
Yeah, you gonna be okay?
He doesn't love me anymore. I think that's evident, and honestly, I don't think that he ever did.
Shh. How much more of this are you gonna take? Your husband, he left your marriage a long time ago.
I know.
And Sean, why are you so passionate about staying in Michigan instead of going to those big industries like LA or New York?
Well, I was born and raised in Detroit. I have a passion for Michigan and for the people here. We have a lot of great people here, a lot of great talented people, hardworking people that just want an opportunity to live their dreams, and someone needs to stay behind and build something and create something for them, and so that's what I'm going to do.
Spoken like a true Michigander.
Thank you very much. That's right.
So what are some upcoming projects we can expect from you?
Well, right now we're going to continue to raise funding for our Great Lakes State. We have a $50,000 budget. We're raising about $30,000 for 15 more episodes and another $20,000 for TV programming that we're going to do locally here in the spring. Currently, we're being sponsored by American Coney Island, Imagine Theaters, and some other local companies, Michigan brands, and that's what you can expect over the next 12 months from us.
How did you get so many big names on board just to sponsor you?
You know, it's amazing. Last summer, I just kind of just ran out and started just calling people and just asking people to kind of engage with us and try to work with us. We want to represent great Michigan brands. I'm wearing a Bronner hat. It's a great Michigan brand. They actually donated a lot of hats for us for Great Lakes State. So we just want to showcase the best of Michigan through Great Lakes State and other projects that we're doing through my company, 313 Wood.
Absolutely. And how important is it for you to have like Michigan branding, your own company, and just with like American Coney Island?
Well, it's critical. I think the world needs to see that Michigan is the greatest state in America. And how do you show that? You show that through world-class brands, world-class relationships. And that's what we're going to basically do and are doing now through Great Lakes State. And basically myself and Tanya Clark, she's vice president of my public relations, we're basically just establishing new relationships here and using that to build.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us here on MetroArts. Sean, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having us.
Absolutely. And thank you, Sharon, for appearing on MetroArts, produced in the Midtown studio at Wayne State University. Our next guest is sculptor Sharon Q. Hi, thank you for joining us today.
Well, I'm just thrilled to be here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. So, Sharon, tell us a little bit about how you got inspired to pursue a vocation in the arts.
Well, probably to start out, I could sincerely say I didn't have a plan, but what keeps me in the arts is probably the ability to be able to integrate anything I do or think or want to study or anything I want to do. I can really pretty easily roll it into my career as an artist, and that is something that I really enjoy. I continue to sometimes teach and sometimes study.
Now, you mentioned before you actually like working alone. Explain to us that.
Well, I must say that working alone fits my personality really well. And when you do go to art school, often you're given the choice to teach. And clearly I wasn't going to teach on an ongoing basis. But working alone is absolutely my passion, I would say.
Come out.
And then also, you know, what's really great with the computer now and the way we're connected, you're in touch with people all over the world all the time.
Absolutely.
And so you do have some connection to.
Absolutely. Now tell us a little bit about your apprenticeship at General Motors and your journeyman's card in the wood model making.
Well, very often people ask about your education, and I did graduate from U of M with a BFA. I never did get an MFA. But I always credit my main education as being at General Motors. I did this apprenticeship, which was through the UAW, a formal apprenticeship, and it was just a stunning way to learn about 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions and learn. I'm born in Detroit, so, you know, completely understand the auto industry better, and I continue to utilize many of the things I learned from what I learned
Great.
during my apprenticeship.
Great. And tell us a little about some of the pieces you brought with you today.
Well,
diamond or something.
Yeah. I'll have some images later, I think, that you'll show, but I thought I would just bring a few things, some of the work that goes behind making a sculpture, which is often quite a lot of preparatory work to get to the point where you might actually make something. And so, like in the case of this diamond, which is not yet the artwork, but it's on its way.
Okay.
And in order to create that, because it's such a regular, I have a fascination with mathematical models, and I went ahead and I created out of wood some of these lines. And how I did that is just a diagram off of the internet. And then, you know, with the wood model making, you know how to transfer 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, and so then made that. And then if I can build off of this, it makes me know where I am in space.
Oh, nice.
And then once I got that done, then I had to know how to create this top space. So I filled all this with clay and started working on the facets. Once the clay was there, I did a plaster mold. And then I did another plaster mold. So now I have this to work off to create this.
And this is the top of this.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. And then once I make that bottom and make that top, then I can go ahead and put them together as a whole. And then also, I also do
right
violin restoration. And I will sometimes make replica castings.
Okay.
And so sometimes with violins, they're very expensive. And people want to know what they look like because in making violins, people copy the old masters pretty much exactly like they were doing. So if you can have a real model of, you know, like a scroll or something complicated like this, it really aids the maker in being able to duplicate it.
Okay, and then this brings me on to my next question. How did you make your way into working with violins, actually?
Well, I had been working at General Motors, and it's long hours, long commute. I was looking for a change, and I happened to read an article in our monthly Observer and about 2 violin makers in Ann Arbor.
So do you play the violin, perhaps?
Well, I do take lessons, and I play kind of maybe a little more like a scientist than a musician because I do, of course, want to test out. When I do violin restorations, you know, a lot of times it's a lengthy procedure, and it's all completely apart, and so you don't really have the chance to play it till the very, very last things go into place. And but yeah, the switch into violin making was
Which brings me to, in 2001, you opened your own shop. Explain to us that.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was assisting new makers. I went from assisting new makers to violin restoration. And I wanted to work with the best instruments possible, you know, doing the best work possible, and that would require me probably to move to either Boston, England, Chicago, and I love Detroit area. So anyways, I opened my own shop because that was the best solution.
Now tell us about how, like, traveling have influenced your work.
Well, my latest major travel was to Parma, Italy, and that was in October. And they had like 22 Guadagninis, who's an important violin maker, in this beautiful room. And I was documenting them, and so I was measuring them, and a book is going to be published, so I was taking that documentation down. But the other nice thing about that travel is I was also able to sell a sculpture while I was there.
Great. So if people want to contact you, what's your information and how can they meet this wonderful person I'm sitting next to right now?
Well, I have an exhibition up at Marshall Frederick Sculpture Museum until May 26th with my husband, Tom Fardell.
Okay.
And there's a catalog that goes along with it, which is a nice documentation of this show.
Okay.
I'm also represented by Lemberg Gallery in Ferndale, and I have a website, SharonQ.com.
And Sharon, what can we expect from you in the future, and what are some outstanding moments that have defined you?
Well, it's been a great year for me. I was commissioned by Lincoln Ford to do a piece for the auto show, which was a great thing for me to do, combining everything about my family, my history, and all my talents. So that was great. And I have a show up at Marshall Frederick Sculpture Museum, and I am represented by Lemberg Gallery in Ferndale, Michigan.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much for being here on MetroArts Show. It was definitely a pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
And we would like to thank you, Sharon, for appearing on MetroArts Detroit. And now let's welcome singer-actress Rio Scafone to the Midtown studio.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
It's great. You're bringing color to the MetroArts set.
Thank you. Trademark of Rockabilly.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how you got into the Rockabilly genre.
How I got into it. I don't think I had any choice, really. My uncle is Jack Scott, and he is one of the Rockabilly legends. He started, he was on the ground floor of it. So I naturally was brought up in the genre, hearing it, singing with my uncle and on my own. So it began at a very early age, and it's just in the blood.
Okay, okay. So like you said, you were born into rockabilly royalty.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean to you?
Well, it means a lot, actually. You know, some people think that it's easy to have a relative that is so well known in the genre. Oh, it must be so easy for you to do this music and be accepted. I find it can be a little daunting at times because people expect more.
Absolutely.
You know, we have, I mean, he's known the world over. So here's his niece coming forward, and they're kind of looking, okay, let's see what you got.
Absolutely.
Luckily, we've really stayed true to the genre, and we have a great band, so we've been embraced.
Okay, now speaking of your band, Rio, can you name some of them and tell us what do they do?
Absolutely. We have Sean Eric Harris on upright bass.
Okay.
And he is also our musical director as well. We've got the wonderful Renee Turner on alto, backing vocals. We've got Ali Sarah on soprano, backing vocal. We have Jared Thompson on guitar. The man can play. And we have Charlie Bongo on drums and Jumpin' Jack Johnson on sax. Now, he's not here today, but he gives his best.
Great, great, great. So how did you guys actually all come to meet?
Well, Sean, I'm married to Sean, so that's easy. And I just turned to Sean and I said, let's get a rockabilly band together. I really need to get back to my music. I'm spending a lot of time in the acting field, which has been great, but I missed it. And we actually booked our first gig before we had the band.
Great.
And so it kind of gave us a kick.
Great.
To get it together. So it was names, people that we knew, word of mouth. But it takes a very special kind of a level of performer to do this. You know, there's dancing, there's choreography, there's, you know, it's a lot harder than it seems. So it was really important to find that right group, that right fit, and we have it.
Now, speaking of all that, you're definitely a Jill of all trades. Acting, coach, explain to us all the stuff that you do.
Well, you know, it's all intertwined. It's all the creative world. I am an acting coach, private acting coach for actors. The agencies will send me a lot of newer actors and seasoned as well to kind of help put them on, you know, in the right direction, give them the tools. So, yeah.
That's great. And right quick, what are some upcoming events that we can expect from you?
Oh my God, lots of them. The Art and Barley Festival coming up in Woodhaven, Michigan. We've got the Ann Arbor Summer Music Festival opening night, main stage.
Okay.
It'll be great. And opening for SRC at the Magic Bag. Lots of stuff going on.
Great, great, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today, Rio.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank Rio Scafone for talking with us on Metro Arts. And up next, a performance in the studio by Rio and the Rockabilly Revival.
Baby is the one for me. Mercy, what my baby does to me, yeah, me. Mercy, what my baby does to me. When my baby feels depressed, he sure don't know what he does to me. When he loves me so, it makes my pulse go, go, go. I say, what crazy in the best possible way. When you world seem brighter, make my heart feel lighter. Wanna squeeze you tighter in the best possible way. The way you walk through the door, next thing I know, we're on the dance floor. 3 step miles high with the look of trouble in your eyes. Won't you be my baby? Don't you dare say maybe, 'cause you drive me crazy in the best possible way. When you kiss my cheek, baby, my knees go weak. Oh, baby, let's play for keeps in the best possible way. In the best way. They walk through the door, next thing I know, we're on the dance floor. 3 step miles high with the look of trouble in your eyes. Be my baby, don't you dare say maybe, 'cause you drive me crazy in the best possible way. Make the world seem brighter, make my heart feel lighter. Wanna squeeze you tighter in the best possible way. Oh, won't you be my baby? Don't you dare say maybe, 'cause you drive me crazy in the best possible way. Making my world seem brighter, make my heart feel lighter. Making my squeeze you tighter in the best possible way. Jumping at the 5 and dime. I'm my baby and we're looking fine. Ready to roll at 9:30. Over the road, have a good time. Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. We're gonna rock all night till we just can't rock no more. Casting eyeball down the street. Don't play the rocket, baby, watch her heat. Just Chevy 55. Hold tight, yeah, we're going off this time. Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. We're gonna rock all night till we just can't rock no more. Here we go. Cause he's a wailing, go, can't go. Cruising down Woodward Street. Clutch, let her rip. Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Yeah, Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Gonna rock all night, we just can't roll no more. Go, get go. Against my heat. Hands out now, I'm in too deep. Slip Daddy gonna start the show. 3, 2, 1, baby, go, go, go. Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Yeah, Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Gotta rock all night, till we just can't roll no more. Ride all night, side to side. Cruise them once, morning light. Nowhere else I'd rather be. Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Yeah, Detroit, baby, feel our rumble and roar. Gonna rock all night till we just can't roll no more. Gonna rock all night till we just can't roll no more. Gonna rock all night till we just can't roll no more.
Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show, and I'd like to thank our guests, Sean H. Robertson, Sharon Q, and Rio and the Rockabilly Revival Band for joining us here today. I'm your host on MetroArts, Shayna Fields Clark, reminding you to always support the arts in your community.